George is a good guy. Give him a break, God.
I love him, dear Lord. Watch over him tonight.
Hope you enjoyed it. I wish I had $1 million.
One way or another, we can all relate to George Bailey. I mean, we've all wished it before. Young or old, in secret or out loud.
I'm gonna see the world.
We wish to be rich, famous, loved, and adored. We've wanted to see the world, taste the exotic, or build a life others would envy. Yet we always seem to fall short, a step or two away from that ever-elusive dream of a better and happier future. I'm sure some who are watching have achieved a favorable amount of wealth, or experienced things that others could only imagine, but just to discover the inevitable emptiness it ultimately brings, finding yourself right back at step one of the journey. At the beginning of the film, George is not yet aware of this harsh reality. He's in the same boat as the rest of us, dreaming of a blissful future that will certainly never happen exactly as he imagined it.
Build bridges a mile long.
His mind is riddled with wants and desires that he is sure will bring him fulfillment and lasting happiness. He's consumed by the eternal if only. If only I got this. If only I did that. If only I could be rich.
Wish I had $1 million.
If only that girl or guy would return my love. If only I had that job, that career, that success, that luck. You get the point.
I just feel like if I didn't get away, I'd bust.
The thing is, this deceitful hope, or delusional fantasy, if you will, couldn't be further from what our heart desires, what it truly needs. It is this interior conflict between what George wants and what he actually needs that lays the foundation of the film's central events and themes to transpire.
George Bailey? What's he want?
I don't know. What do you want?
Time after time, what George wants miraculously eludes him, only to be replaced with what he needs, or at the very least, it opens him up to the opportunity to do a good deed, which he always does. But each time he chooses to do the right thing, he slowly becomes more resentful and cynical, remaining blind to the wonderful life right in front of him. This dynamic repeats itself throughout the film, in his relationship with Mary, in his duty to his father's company, and as a result of his unwavering ideals, which prompt him to care for others and prevent him from selling out to Mr. Potter.
Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath?
From the very beginning, George is somewhat ignorant of Mary, focused instead on leaving the uneventful little town of Bedford Falls.
I'm going out exploring someday. You watch. And I'm going to have a couple of harems. And maybe 3 or 4 wives.
Even when they share a dance and a romantic evening walk, George's mind wanders to a non-existent future, oblivious to the true fortune in front of him. This is exemplified with a bit of foreshadowing when they each throw a rock at the old rundown house, their future home, while making a wish. Mary secretly wishes for George in the home. George, to no one's surprise, wishes for...
Shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet, and I'm gonna see the world.
Not aware that in that very house, he'll experience the happiest moment in his life. This irony that life plays on George continues. His little brother graduates, finds a wife and a good-paying job, all before George, leaving him stuck in Bedford Falls, running his late father's modest business. Disillusioned, he stumbles upon Mary's house, now a few years since their last encounter. Once more, the usual pattern plays out. George, blinded by disappointment, fails to see the beauty in the present moment right before him.
I don't know. I guess I was homesick.
Homesick? For Bedford Falls?
Yes.
George's frustration leads to an argument with Mary, but the phone rings just as he's about to leave, triggering a sudden turn of events.
Will you tell that guy I'm giving him the chance of a lifetime, do you hear? The chance of a lifetime.
He says it's the chance of a lifetime.
They marry, have children, and live happily ever after. Well, almost. At the end of the day, it's all up to George, really. He still hopes that one day his dreams will come true, but he might just be too good for his own good. Every time he has the opportunity to make it big finally, his moral conscience wins out in the nick of time. And so he scrapes by on the meager profits of his business, choosing to serve the people of Bedford Falls while remaining painfully aware of his unrealized potential. This resentment broods inside him, ready to burst at any moment. That moment arrives on Christmas Eve. Among other things, George and the town are awaiting the return of his brother Harry, now a national hero from World War II. Everything is going as planned until George's silly uncle misplaces $8,000 straight into Mr. Potter's hands. With scandal and jail time looming, George's years of buried frustration and resentment finally erupt.
One of us is going to jail. Well, it's not going to be me.
Finding no solace in his family and brutally rejected by Mr. Potter,
You're worth more dead than alive.
George tries to drink his problems away, which leads to the famous scene of him praying, illustrating the nature of true prayer.
I'm not a praying man, but if you're up there and you can hear me, show me the way.
George says it himself. He's not a very religious man, but life has him cornered. He feels as if there's nowhere left to go, alone, desperate, and scared. It's in this despair and hopeless need that we, like George, finally speak from our hearts. No more pride, hypocrisy, manipulative schemes, fake masks, or lies. We're left barren with nothing but ourselves, the truth of who we are, and what our heart truly asks for.
Show me the way, oh God.
And it's then that God, if he's there, and I believe he is, hears our prayer. But sometimes we have to be patient to see the answer. God responds in his own way and in his own time, usually in the manner we least expect. George is hoping for $8,000 to fall from the sky.
Only one way you can help me. You don't happen to have $8,000 on you.
But that isn't what prayer is primarily for. Prayer is meant to change our perspective, to transform how we see the world, ourselves, and those around us, to help us see reality in a new light, full of hope and love. And for George, that transformation begins.
Please, God, let me live again.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph send Clarence, a guardian angel whose task is to help George see the worth in going on living. A worth not based on monetary value, but rooted in something much deeper. Something words struggle to capture, and that can only be grasped through lived experience. Only by encountering and embracing the profound mysteries life offers can George be shaken out of the apathy and materialistic cynicism that grip him.
Suppose it'd been better if I'd never been born at all.
George sees himself as a failure, a net negative in a world obsessed with money. In his mind, if he had never been born, there would be no debt, no scandal, no worthless George.
If it hadn't been for you...
Yeah, if it hadn't been for me, everybody'd be a lot better off. My wife and my kids and my...
If we examine today's culture, we can see just how pervasive this same mindset is. In career choices, dating, friendships, and even family life.
Well, you call this a happy family. Why do we have to have all these kids?
People rarely see beyond the purely material, trapped in a strictly transactional way of living, never even attempting to look deeper, where something far more tangible and real lies. This is bound to breed all sorts of spiritual and mental illnesses that we see today. Envy, greed, depression, lust, anxiety, selfishness, and pride, to name a few. But George lives in the 1940s. And as we all know, the human condition has remained largely unchanged for thousands of years. Clarence is particularly aware of this truth. He's hundreds of years old, after all. He decides to show George an alternate timeline, in which George was never born. Slowly, George begins to realize the profound impact his life has had on the people and world around him.
Each man's life touches so many other lives. And when he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he?
He sees that he is not an island, but part of something larger. Something far more important than an arbitrary sum of money. Not only that, but George, despite his many flaws, has always tried to do good, in stark contrast to the selfish Mr. Potter. We see the powerful ripple effects of even the smallest good deeds, and the same could be said of the evil ones. They spread like a virus from person to person, leaving us viewers questioning our own moral choices, past and present. Where do I fall on the scale between Mr. Potter and George Bailey? What would the world look like without me? And what can I change in my choices and actions to tilt us ever more toward the good? Understandably, George is left shocked by this new reality. He goes from wishing he had never been born to praying with all his heart that he was.
Please! I want to live again!
You see, a change in perspective can go a very long way. His prayers were answered after all, yet nothing external had changed, only what was inside of him.
There they are!
Well, a couple of external things do happen, but he's not yet aware of them when he's running across town overflowing with joy and gratitude. No film better captures the vital difference between living a life of resentment and cynicism, and living one full of thankfulness and hope. And it's almost entirely dependent on our interior state. We're not done yet, though. Somehow the film keeps giving, offering perhaps the most fulfilling and memorable ending in cinematic history. I wept for a good half hour the first time I saw this scene. I could probably write an entire book about it, and still fail to capture even an ounce of its timeless charm. The sense of joy, community, fulfillment, friendship, and love is simply too much to take in. You're not alone. I'm not alone. No one is. We live together. It's always been that way and always will be. Only when we tear ourselves away from our selfish nature and begin to live for others and start to see ourselves for who we truly are, will we begin to see the endless beauty life has to offer, and that we really do matter. It truly is a wonderful life. Remember that.
To my big brother George, the richest man in town.